I'm joined again with Dakoda. How are you, my man?
I'm doing well today. How about yourself, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. Doing good. Yeah, all good. How's your week been, my man?
Good. Busy, but good. Yesterday, we were supposed to be set up to have this talk, and I wasn't able to make that because I was doing a polar plunge. Norfolk County, the police department has challenged the fire and EMS to do this polar plunge, and it's for raising money for I believe this one went to sick kids.
Okay.
Yeah. So fun, cold, but fun.
Jeez, that's intense. Cause I think, I don't know how it is your way, but today it looks like a proper winter storm. So hopefully, yesterday the weather is a little warmer.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad actually. I can't complain a whole lot. The wind wasn't too fierce, and that's really what gets you when you're out there. So no, the water's obviously cold, but once I got out, it wasn't like that wind was like ripping through and making me hypothermic or anything. No, it was actually once I got out of the water, to be honest, it was bearable. Now
Wow.
now I'm sitting on the beach in my shorts without any shoes on, and like all of a sudden it's okay. It's an all right temperature. That's a strange thing this time of year.
Absolutely. No, I'm glad, man, and for a good cause too. Now, is it? It's not like a competition, right? It's just let's raise money for charity and that stuff, or is there like races and stuff too, or?
No, it's just a straight up raise money for charity. How many people can we get involved to make a presence or have some sort of a following to this thing? So this is the second annual. They did this last year, this time of year, and raised a lot of money. Went to a good little foundation there, and so yeah, this is it's straightforward. Everybody signs their waiver, and then they send us in I don't know, bouts or waves, however you want to say it. So I believe Simcoe Fire Department went first, and then there was a few other waves of different fire departments and EMS departments. We got a little video of it. I think I was like maybe the maybe the sixth group in the water. Yeah, and just our local aficionado for the Norfolk Police, Ed Sanchuk, he kind of emceed the event, and just he did his social media blast saying what it was about and who we were donating to, and then he says okay, and people start running in the water.
No, I love it, man. That sounds like a lot of fun and for a good cause,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
definitely justifiable for pushing this to the next day for sure.
Yeah.
And it actually worked out well because we got a call kind of last minute to dog sit for a friend of mine on Saturday there, so it actually worked out pretty well. And yeah, Rika was in heaven there, taking care of taking care of dogs. That's her element. So she was more than happy. So it would have been pretty loud if we would have tried to record there. So
Yep.
yeah, I'm glad we moved the date for sure.
That's awesome. What kind of dogs were they?
So it's just one,
Oh, okay.
I think it's a Portuguese water dog. I think that's
Okay.
the breed. So it's like a mid-sized dog that's pretty fluffy. And she was well behaved. Like the dog was really nice and pretty calm. Went for a couple walks, and yeah, so it was actually a really good experience. I've heard of other friends who help out people, and like the house is all torn up by the end
Oh
of it.
no.
So so I was kind of like, oh, okay, but yeah, no, she's well trained and well behaved, so it worked out really good.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
no, that's good. Anything hip hop related this week?
Yeah, buddy. So I've been doing as I do, going through these different streaming sites and just completely diving into this world of hip hop. So one interesting series that I found actually that we will definitely have to put on our list of topics: Wu Tang, an American Saga.
No
Now,
way.
yes, buddy, this is big. This is really big. So this actually is written like a series, written like a show, and it takes you right down to it, right to like the events leading up to their first album coming out. Um, like even to like they've got now. Correct me if I'm wrong. The DJ of the group, that's
That's
who
RZA, right?
it's RZA. Okay,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was RZA or Jizza. I always get that screwed up. Okay, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So RZA, and his battles trying to find equipment and get out of like the pressures of the ghetto lifestyle and getting the right equipment and pushing this music thing and getting himself and his crew out of these hard places and getting them onto this music thing. So, oh man, I was just totally taken in by it. It's real good.
That is amazing, man. I looked it up as soon as you said it, and it looks proper. I noticed one of the actors. Do you remember the show we used to watch, The Get Down?
Yes.
One of the main cats there is in this one too. So, yeah, you know it's gonna be good, man.
Yeah, yeah. I'm telling you, I watched the first episode and it's gold, man. Like it's so nice to see because what it does, it takes you back to the hopelessness that they were all in before they got to this elevated place, right? And so it's just like it's the American dream really to rise up from nothing and be on that world platform. So it's pretty amazing to see what they overcame and how they got there.
Yeah, dang, this hat. Oh man, I'm getting chills thinking about watching this, man. Because yeah, like not to fast forward on what we're doing with hip hop evolution here, but yeah, that whole Shaolin, Long Island, nobody cares about us, from the bottom to the main stage is what it's all about, right? So,
Yeah,
oh
buddy.
man, this looks good for you for finding this, man. But do you know what always gets me kind of frustrated? Like I'm glad we can find it,
Yeah.
but I feel like it always takes searching.
Yeah.
Like, why is this never on like the first page? You know what I mean? Like it's never on the first page of things. It's always you have to dig deep. You have to dig deep, and oh, there you find the gold, right? But
That's
you
right.
know, I
Yeah, but
you
that's
know,
what makes this thing so cool, right? Is that it's not so mainstream. Like it is and it isn't, right? You got to dig a little bit to find out. And I feel like it's the that law of attraction, right? Like you and
hmm
I, we're on our own paths trying to find our way in life and we're always picking these little gems out of the obscure parts of the streaming networks and whatnot and it's almost like the blueprint. Like I'm not saying that my life is anything comparable to theirs, but when you take the things that these guys have had to overcome and see where they've gone from and where they've gone to, it just gives you that little bit of, well, what's my excuse? What's my
yeah.
excuse for not being able to overcome whatever odds are in my life? So it's just one of those things that it really puts your head on straight.
It does, man. It definitely does. And no, I'm so glad you found this, and I'm excited to watch this. And it's funny. Everything you just said leads us to this next episode about the underground, right? The episode 2 in Hip Hop Evolution. One of the things that just came out of your mouth just said, hip hop was built on overcoming limitations, right? And like you said, whether it's searching for this and finding this, or putting it in our own lives where we, everyone has limitations. But is that an excuse? And I don't think so, man. We can overcome or make
Absolutely.
something great. And with that, let's get to episode 2. What were your thoughts and takeaways on this one, man? This was another banger.
Yeah, episode 2, the underground to mainstream. What did it take to bring hip hop to the mainstream? This was. I hate to sound like I repeat myself, but this is the beginning. This is the crucial information, right? You got you've got your one of your favorites, Grandmaster Flash, and his group, the Furious Five, um, and they may have been the first to bring the underground to the mainstream, right? Like they were the showmen. They were the ones bringing it out onto the stage and making a whole show out of hip hop, but they hadn't recorded yet by this point, right? So that's the big thing. So what we're talking about is, how did that first 12-inch wax get recorded? Who did it, and how did it come about? And it's an interesting tale of how it all came together. What was your first thoughts on this?
No, I was thinking the same. I was thinking, why was this not more popular, and why wasn't it in people's homes? And it was simple. It wasn't getting recorded. And it's amazing to hear the journey and story of how it got from. They even used a reference of BC and AD of, before vinyl and after vinyl, right? And yeah, though, this whole journey and seeing how the first record got made and what people's thoughts of it were, what it spurned into the future, right? Like, what else did this create, right? Like it was like a flame, right? It was just a spark, and then now we're mainstream, and now we're everywhere.
That's right. And so, what would you say was that spark? What's in your opinion? Like, take what you can from the show, but what in your opinion was that spark?
I think the spark was essentially being able to like because the first album is, you got to be able to relate it to not only the African Americans, the black people, the artists, the hip hop, but you got to be able to make it something that other people enjoy too. And it comes back to fusion for me of, like, I guess we'll get into it. I don't, there's no spoilers of who made the first record, but you look at maybe the second third of, like, a guy like Africa Bambaataa, where, a lot of his inspiration was from, quote unquote, I'm using my fingers here, white people music, where it was Talking Heads, it was Kraftwerk, it was kind of a new wave approach, and you can hear it in the music where it's like everyone can nod their head and say this is quality, and it kind of hits every kind of genre, and whether it's the lyrics, whether it's the beat, whether it's the melody, it's just it's quality, man.
Yeah,
What about yourself? What were you thinking?
I like what you said there. About Bombada. That was a big introduction into pop culture, right? African
Mm-hmm.
Bambaataa. He was the one that really did it. He was the one that brought uptown to downtown originally, and he's one of the founding fathers, right? Like, one of the holy trinity of hip hop. So yeah, no, I like that. Yeah, my opinion of what the spark was, I would say, I want to put it back to that night of terror in the South Bronx,
Ooh,
the
good.
blackout, right?
Good for you, man. Yeah, absolutely. Please tell us about that, man.
Yeah, so the night of terror in the South Bronx was a blackout. All the power was lost. There was a lot of looting and stealing from different stores in the area, and a lot of those places had recording equipment because that was up and coming. It was getting big. It was almost the voice of that area. The South Bronx. it really was the beginning of hip hop, and so there was a lot of equipment in there. So that night of terror with the big blackout, that is what I would say the spark was, because after that night, all the looting and stealing, if you were even somewhat interested in DJing, then all of a sudden you had a wealth of equipment available to you, right?
Yeah.
So you're seeing all of these different groups come out, and I love this too because you see so many groups come out right after that. It was like the market just got flooded with all of these hip hop groups because now anybody can be chasing their dreams regardless of what their financial situation was, right? Because, hey, if I just happen to stumble upon this mixer, then now me and my boys back in the crib, we can go and record some stuff. So I think that was a big part of it. I think obviously the social squeeze, the social pressures, the Bronx is still burning at this time. Things are bad, and we've talked about this lots before off of the record about how out of these big crises, out of these big points in time where people are feeling just more and more socially put out, that's where you find the people trying to escape reality and going into their creative selves. And I think that that's like the perfect mix for all this creativity to come out. So yeah, I'm gonna put it back to that, the night of terror. I think that was the spark.
And I think you're 100% right, man. It's kind of that opportunity, and that opportunity hit. Everything goes dark. Now's my chance to become a DJ. This equipment that I couldn't afford in my wildest dreams is now in my house, and now I'm recording, and now I got some people who can rap, and now I learn how to be a DJ, and bang, we have a group now. We have an opportunity to make it happen. And I know you said it, and I want to give it credit to you, but you said, even you mentioned the struggle and the hard times. I look at something like COVID, right? And you mentioned where how much opportunity and how much potential and how much great stuff is going to come out of a horrible, horrible event. But people at home, more time, not able to go anywhere. So what are you going to do? You're going to let your creative juices run, and we'll see where the world takes us, right? Because even now, I mean, the whole working situation, take away from music for a second, the whole working situation has changed too. So many people working from home and having happier lives because of it, right? I don't need to punch in and wait and wait, go home, but now I can do stuff at home and
Yeah.
still be as or more productive, right? So yeah, it's a spark, and I can't wait to see where this flame takes us.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's You're right. This is the perfect breeding ground for more creativity to come out as well. And I'm excited too, buddy, because like here we see in this episode of the evolution of hip hop, we see the birth of hip hop out of these terrible situations. And so here we are, times are tough again, and I'm excited to see the human creative gene come out of what we're in right now. That's going to be big. I'm sure of it. And I think that we're starting to see a little bit of that now. Here we are 2022. So we're like what, 2 almost 3 years into this thing, and I think we're starting to see some of that stuff come out. Like I know some of the mainstream music that has come out since the pandemic, and I mean, like, there's some pretty good bangers. Now these are guys that have recording studios in their basements, like Logic or Eminem, and they're just doing their things because they don't want to go and expose themselves to these other people. But that's the mainstream side of it, and I'm loving what I'm hearing coming out of the artists that I know. But what I'm really excited for is to hear about the people that I don't know about, and to hear what comes out of nowhere, seemingly nowhere.
No, you're right on, man. I can't wait to hear these up and coming people who just blow our minds with stuff we've never heard before because it never existed before, right? So yeah, absolutely. And then the old heads, the people who are already perfecting their craft and are along the way are just gonna get even better, right? Because there's no side tracks. There's no I was out all last night. Well, you're in COVID, so you're really not out all last night, right? You're at home and recording, right? So yeah, it should be good. One of the things in this episode talked about, Cold Crush, Grandmaster Kaz, and they also talked about Fantastic Five and that whole rap battle,
Yeah,
right?
the
That
battle at
whole
Harlem World.
and they gave them an option. Okay, well, it's going to be $1,000. We can do 700 to the winner, $300 to the loser, or winner takes all. And winner takes all, right? They all had faith in themselves. They backed themselves and said, "No, we want it all," right?
That's right. That's right. And I love this. I love this. This is like the biggest underground there is, right? And what you have here, you've got these two very popular groups, and they're competing for that. I don't want to call it the number one spot because we all know that Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five had that number one spot, but they were out touring at the time, I believe it said.
Yeah.
And so what you have here, you've got the Cold Crush brothers, headed by Grandmaster Kaz, who some claim to be the first hip hop poet. And then you've got the fantastic Romantic Five. and and yeah, so the crowd is the judge. So this was an epic battle, and it's interesting too because of this battle, the Cold Crush brothers' popularity just took off, but they were the losers, right? Because we had the Fantastic Five, you had their little placement of all their little groupies in the crowd, and it's the crowd determines the battle, right? So the crowd determines the winner. And when you're loading the crowd with your people, yeah, man, it's gonna sound pretty good for you. So what we have here is is an epic battle, and the Fantastic Five take the win on that one. But they won the battle, but they didn't win the war, right? Because out of that, the tape of the battle hits the streets, and then people are listening to the tape, and now, okay, so the Fantastic Five, they put on a good show and all. They definitely appeal to the ladies, and and that resonates in person with their show. But when it comes to the tape, there is a clear, distinct winner from the tape, and that's the Cold Crush brothers, because you got Kaz's poetry coming through, and these guys, they're really doing it. They're really doing the thing. They've got good lyrics. They've got flow. They've got unison. Where really the Fantastic Five, they just had the show, the appeal, the ladies, right? Like,
Yeah.
very interesting.
No, it's amazing when you think about that, man, because it's kind of like in modern days they had a better music video, but was the song better? Not really, but they had a better music video and they loaded the crowd. So yeah, they win. But again, it's kind of like a life story of, okay, you might lose here, you might have one setback, but at the end of the race, who's ahead, right? And yeah, like it hits the street and all the people are saying, yeah, Kaz and the Gold Crush? What? Gold Crush, pardon me. How did they lose this? And yeah, man, it's amazing. The other thing I took too was when they were interviewing Kaz, it comes back to that fusion thing again, where he admitted one of the lines he used he borrowed from Barry Manilow, right? Like not borrowed, but had the same type of style, and everyone loved it, right? Like Barry Manilow's a poetic dude, and a lot of his songs are like love songs, but he had that awareness to say, I like this. what if I bring it here and add my spin on it and put my twist on it? And yeah, it was amazing, man.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, right? Because Kaz particularly is no stranger to people biting rhymes. So
Yeah.
so I think in that case, I don't know if he did. Was it word for word, or was it just
No, it
inspired
wasn't.
by? Okay.
Inspired by. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's an interesting one, right? Like and I believe with the Furious Five, also they had a little bit of that going on. So Kaz is really like echoing what these guys are doing. He sees what works. Not to mention that on the radio at that time, all you're getting is these different what they were all calling at the time this white music coming through, because there's only one radio station, so you're getting like Aerosmith and Nazareth and this stuff, and yeah, so what you're getting there is all of this influence, and in that era of music, everybody's got a good flow. It is a good poetry behind their lyrics, and Kaz, similar to the guys from the Furious Five, they see this, and so the Furious Five definitely nailed this. What was it? Was the message? It was the
Mm-hmm.
message when
Melly Mel.
Melly
Yeah.
Mel. Thank you. So he was, and I'm butchering this. I
No.
apologize. What were the lyrics that he listened to, and then he wrote his own because of it?
Yeah.
Do you remember that
That's
part?
right.
So
Was it? I think
yeah,
it was. Oh, was it James Brown?
was it? It's the opening lyrics of his to the message,
Yeah.
and basically what it was inspired by Enter this
Yeah.
other band. It's not irrelevant, but it escapes my
Yeah.
mind at the time. These guys, they found a new way to work it. So then you've got Grandmaster Caz, and he sees these guys doing this. He sees them killing it, and he's like, yeah, man. And he's inspired by the same things. So you get this is where poetry really enters the game, right? Like everybody's quick talking and able to, well, I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of the MCs were very quick talking over the disco music and able to interact with the crowd live. But this is where that poetry really enters. So this is people sitting back and listening and thinking and coming up with a message, coming up with whatever they want to get out to the people and perfecting it and then putting it out as their rhymes, right? So Kaz was really the first, and still this is before, like you said, BC. So this is before vinyl. This is like pre 79 when that first vinyl dropped, and this is like really the beginning. So I think honestly, Grandmaster Caz is hugely overlooked in this sense because and his group, the Cold Crush Brothers,
Mm-hmm.
right? He was just the writer and the head of the group, but the whole group really, they were overlooked in this, and that's where we're seeing the credit doesn't really go to the people who really started this. Enter. Oh, sorry. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
No. Just before we enter, I think I know where you're going, but
You know where I'm going.
but I think you're right, man. I just wanted to double down on your point because predating Kaz, it seemed like it was all party music, right? Stuff to dance to. How do you get the crowd moving? How do you get the crowd into it? And he was one of the first who brought it to that poetic sense, that lyricist, that educational rap, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
I think it was even Melly Mel or Kaz, I forget which one said it, but it was like, I look at Grandmaster Flash as the message, and it was a window into working America, right? Working America
Mm-hmm.
into the ghetto, right? Of what's that actually like, and throwing down the message, throwing down some of Kaz's rhymes, it makes you stop and think, and whoa, I'm not just going to stomp my feet and clap my hands, but I'm actually going to think about this and and take it away, right? So yeah, I think you're right. I think he doesn't get enough credit, and I think that's part of the issue of the underground is until you get mainstream, there's only a few people that know of you. But hopefully after this show, and hopefully the listeners go back and have a listen to him, because I think he had a huge part to play. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I'll let you continue, man. Enter who?
Yeah. Yeah, well, there it is, right? So enter Sylvia
Mm-hmm.
Robinson. Um, so she was famous for Lovebug Starsky. So she had her own hits and had her own little career there, but saw that things were kind of declining in her own, and she was looking for that next big thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And bless her heart that she did. So she goes back to, I believe it was like some sort of a birthday party or something like that, and she hears these MCs talking over, lyrically rhyming over a beat, right?
Mm-hmm.
So sorry, that's it. Lovebug Starsky was the man. That's it. So Lovebug Starsky was the MC. My apologies, I got that mixed up in my
Oh,
notes.
good.
But she couldn't get him. She couldn't get him to sign with her. He had no interest, like a lot of these underground guys did. Right? I believe Grandmaster Caz and his Cold Crush brothers, they were part of this in that time. It was like, no, we're doing this for the music, and we don't want to record. And I think they went back to say in this episode that a lot of the greats in like jazz and stuff like that before this were also purists. They were in it for the music, and as soon as you go to say that you want to put it on a record, they're like, no, that's not what I'm doing it for. And I think that was Kaz's stance pre this the Sugar Hill Gang coming out,
Yeah.
right? Now, so here we are. So enter Sylvia Brown. She discovers the Sugar Hill Gang. She goes and she meets up with Big Bank Hank over at the Crispy Crust Pizza, and he's just slinging pizzas. He's all covered in pizza dough and sauce and stuff, and she's like, "Hey, I hear you can rhyme." So, you know, Big Bank Hank shoots her a little rhyme. Now this is where that biting comes in, right? Because Hank knew Kaz. He knew him from around the way and had heard a lot of his stuff. So, you know, instead of saying, "Hey Sylvia, yeah, I can rap, but I don't really write it," this is the guy that you want to talk to. He's like, no, yeah, I can rap. And so he's obviously just trying to get himself out of that Crispy Crust pizza
Yeah.
joint,
Yeah.
right? So Big Bank Hank, Master G, and Wonder
Mm.
Mike all end up doing their thing and shooting their shot with Miss Sylvia Robinson. And she basically said she couldn't decide between the three, so she put them together as the Sugar Hill Gang, and that's where we get Rapper's Delight. This is 1979. This is now the beginning of hip hop on record.
Yeah. The vinyl hip hop album, and the funny thing I find about this is, depending on who you ask, they either hate it or love it. Right? You ask the people in the streets and people who are making rhymes and rap. They hated this, eh? Like
Yeah,
they absolutely hated it.
Melly Mel did not have good things to say about
No, he
this.
didn't. Grandmaster Caz as well, right? Like it just seemed like this was junk. This is they're trying to put on what we do, and this is what comes out. This isn't us. This isn't. Yeah, it blew up. It got hip hop really popular and made a lot more albums and records, and vinyl with hip hop now is a thing. But you ask the people who are actually in the game and doing it, they hated this,
Yeah, and this really saturated the whole market, right? Like, so now you have these purists, these hip hop purists who were just doing it for the music, and then they drop Rapper's Delight, and now you got like comedians coming out and doing rap records. Everybody. It was basically white America took over at that point and tried to jump on. But I think what they missed is they all assumed at the time that it was just a phase and that it was going to pass. Now, that's where, thank God, we have Africa Bambaataa, who brought he really brought it after that. After Rapper's Delight dropped and the desire for more hip hop came out, he's like, I know how to do this. We're gonna take Uptown Downtown. Mm-hmm. So he goes and starts doing shows in Manhattan, and that's really where, like, had that not happened, had these punk rock, new wave places not really had that introduction through Africa Bambaataa, then it may have just been a phase. It may have just faded out and died as far as the mainstream hip hop goes, because it was so saturated at the time, because it was losing its pureness. Luckily, that new wave punk rock scene loved the mix. So what did Bambaataa say? He said that these new wave punk rock people were like the alternative to rock, where hip hop was the alternative to disco. So they found some common ground there, and luckily, that was a way to get pure hip hop into mainstream. Because now, instead of you got to go down to Bronx to hear this show or whatever, now, no, you can leave the university, walk 3 blocks, and go and hit up this African Bambaataa show and get the real deal right here in Manhattan.
Absolutely, man. And again, it's that fusion. It's that accepting of other music that is the alternative to the mainstream. And it's just so funny that those people connected because they understood, we don't want what's playing on the radio right now. We want something else. We want something different. You guys are different. We're different. Let's put it together, right? And it's even to the point of like Africa Bambaataa's like Planet Rock, that that whole sound was like a what was the comment? It was like a spaceship landing in the ghetto. It's wild, and I listened to it a little bit after listening to this watching the second episode rather, and it is pretty unique, and you can tell at the time like it had such a big funk disco influence that, again, it's that fusion of, it's still stuff we listen to, but now you're rapping over it, and the raps are tight and they sound really good, and no wonder it blew up. And like you said, I want to kind of enhance your point too of saying that without this, it could have just been a phase, right? Like McDonald's was doing commercials with the rap of jokes, like you said, comedians, and it went from just a one and done, one hit wonder. Okay, this rap is kind of cool, but let's move on to the next thing. To no. Let's make it right. Let's do it right, and let's make it accessible around the world. And they did that. So again, big ups to Africa Bambaataa, and big ups to everyone who accepted them and made this popular. And then the next person who was who kind of got their hand in things was Blondie, right? Blondie was a legitimate superstar at the time, and met Flash, Grandmaster Flash, and even wrote a lyric in her song about him, which now I go back and listen to. I'm like, she did say Flash, and she did talk about it, right?
Yeah, it was more than just a lyric too, right? That whole song was about Flash, and then mainstream media jumped all over that. Like, how do you know this superstar? Like, why is she writing songs about you? Take that stardom that he already had and just launch it.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought up Blondie. So, what did you think about that? I had a chance to listen to that song too, and to me, it's almost humorous listening to it now. I just want to know, what's your thoughts on
yeah.
that?
The man from Mars eating cars. Yeah, that whole thing. Yeah, I mean, it served the purpose of being an inspiration to Flash and getting him to that next level. But yeah, the song itself is pretty out there. Let's just say that. What did you think?
Yeah, it wasn't my cup of tea,
No,
let's say.
no, no.
And I enjoy older music. I really do. Like, I'm not usually the type to turn my nose up to a whole lot. Good music is good music to me, but yeah, man, that was different.
Yeah, yeah. To be fair, all of Blondie's stuff, I'm kind of just so on. I guess because I didn't live in the time of 1979, 1980. I can't say what the feeling was and why she was a superstar, but hey, she was, and she was willing to go out on a limb, and it's kind of one of those things that I wouldn't listen to music, but as a person, hey, I respect that. But yeah, no, yeah, this was another big time episode, man. A lot of things that I learned and from the blackout, which I didn't realize inspired so much of this from this music. I didn't realize Sugar Hill Gang was the first rap record to be ever made, like I guess vinyl you want to say. And they're from New Jersey, not even New York, to all the way to Blondie getting her kind of helping Grandmaster Flash get to that next level. And yeah, it's just to me, I guess the takeaway of this episode is just the spark, the fusion, and making hip hop not just a one time thing, but going forward, it's huge.
Yeah, and I would love to add on to what you just said there too, Taylor. It's the spark, the fusion, and then the message.
Mm.
And that's a double entendre right there, because I'm talking about Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five and their song The Message, because that's where you get, it's no longer the party music. It's no longer just to get people engaged and dancing or whatever, hyping everybody up. Now they're giving you that look where you wouldn't normally be able to see into the ghetto, into the troubles behind that area of living, and the just the hardships that they faced. Right, that was a total 180 on the way that hip hop was going. Once that song dropped, that was like, whoa, this is this is real. This is where these guys are coming from, and this is why it's so important for this music as an expression to get out of that.
No, absolutely, man. And I think the correct term by hip hop heads is conscious rap, right? And I think this made conscious rap present, right? And full disclosure, I think the reason why I love Grandmaster Flash and Furious Five was this was the first rap song that I sought out myself and listened to start to finish. And I think that's why I love conscious rap even more than party beats. And don't get me wrong, I do like a nice beat and you know getting my hands clapping and my feet stomping. But there's something more about conscious rap, and maybe it was because I was exposed to this first, and I just assumed all rap was this, and realized actually it's not. But I think this changed the game, and for me, even to this day, I search out conscious rap first, and are the lyrics good? Are the lyrics about something versus just last night I got drunk, whatever. But I rather a song about something, and this whole and thank you for correcting me, because this whole underground scene brought us this message and showed us that there is more to hip hop than just a good beat.
No, not a correction, buddy. Just an addition.
I love it, man.
Yeah, no, this is where hip hop found its voice, and more so, it found the voice that it needed.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, this is big time. I really enjoyed this episode too. I'm glad that we get the chance to sit here and talk about this, and I'm glad that this gets out too, and that other people get to hear our conversations. You know, this is just a pastime. We're just doing this out of love. You and I have done these talks now probably like, I think, geez, it's got to be like 2-3 years every Saturday.
Yeah.
We're sitting here and jamming out about hip hop, and I like that we get the chance now to revisit where we picked up on this, because we're now revisiting. For us, this is a revisit to the hip hop evolution, or the evolution of hip hop, and there's always so much more to it than you see the first time around. Mm-hmm. So I think this is now time 3 around for us on this series alone, which is kind of incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I just love being able to do this, being able to escape reality and just talk about music for a little bit, and the fact that we can put that out there and other people get to listen to this is pretty cool too.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I think I would love it if someone, family, friend, whoever listens to this, anyone out there, says, "Oh, interesting. What's the message by Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five? What's that?" And hopefully it inspires them to continue that deep delve that we've done for the last, you're right, 2-3 years of hip hop and this journey of music. So yeah, if it lights a spark in them, then yeah, we've we've done not our mission, but we've done something good. And yeah, I'm so excited for these talks to continue, and I can't wait for the next episode, man.
Right on.
Awesome. All right, dude, until next time, yeah, I'm Taylor, Dacoda.